Okay. Hi everyone. What's happening? Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome back. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here last week because of personal issues, but I'm happy to be back. And today we're going to go through how to connect essentially our AI with the external world. So we at Conduit believe that we're not just building a basic chatbot. Our goal is not just to increase this automation rate just for the sake of increasing the automation rate and replying in to messages. Usually this is called in customer service, it's usually called deflection rate. So how many messages actually get to you. But we also want that the times that the messages come to you, that you manage those messages in the best way possible, and you're still getting helped as much as possible by the AI. So right now, as you guys know, when the AI does not know how to answer or it's urgently tagged, the AI will escalate to you. And so that's the normal setting that you have on your app, where um, here you have in escalations that when the AI needs your help or the AI is missing info, really it's also when there's an urgent tag, it will escalate to you, right? And so if we see in the inbox, we have this all the time where probably here there was an escalation, right? Guest dissatisfaction, urgent message, right? Um, and like this, many others, AI needs your help. Um, Again, it's asking whether we can approve a discounted price, and it's deferring to us. However, you probably also have noticed that these answers here are usually boilerplate answers that usually say, hey, let me check with my team or something of the sorts, right? They're not actually sending out wrong information. For that reason, if you ever see a bad reply, you should usually teach it. So you should usually tell the AI why it's wrong, like usually that just for repetition's sake, for if anyone doesn't know, if you see a bad response, first thing you read what the AI thought. You then look at the sources it used, the tools it used, if any, and then if you don't like it for any reason, you would teach it, right? However, even in these cases where it's like AI needs your help or missing info, the answer is still fine, right? So some of our users, and I think my company as well should be doing this. Actually, let's actually do this right now. Um, it doesn't really make sense to just escalate because then you leave the guest hanging, right? You're not answering the guest. So a way better solution is to answer and escalate. And so I'm actually going to change this now for my company as well. Um, because this way, for messages like this one, where it was asking for uh sorry, I was reading a message. I don't know where we were with that. Let's just see this one. Maybe we get, oh yeah, it was Dario, right? Yeah, it was Dario. So like in a message like this, it would send the reply, and um it would also escalate to us. So we would get both, the best of both worlds. So we still get this escalation that asks us something. I could draft a reply like this, but then I still send the answer, right? That's the first kind of connection that we can do, right? So we have escalate, normal escalate. We have answer and escalate, which I think is just to make sure that you're not giving, like, leaving any messages unread. And then there's also more advanced things that we can do with this escalation, right? So most of the time, maybe escalating like this is not going to be great because some of you are not using the app to answer messages, or maybe you are, but like for some things you want to be immediately notified, right? So a usual thing that people can do is set up an escalation workflow. So you would go here and okay, this is a general escalation. You can do some more advanced things than this one, where essentially instead of a conversation tag, you select an AI tool call. And you just say, guest. Yes. So you don't need parameters here. It's just a tool description like this. And then you can do whatever you want. So like what usually can be done is to send a message through Slack, right? That's a very basic one. I think this is automatic and already built in, but you could replicate this. Oh, we don't have Slack, but um, you could replicate this here, right? So where you create a Slack message and you send a Slack message to your team. Maybe you want to use WhatsApp. So what you would do is you would send a message instead of to your to this, you would send it to to your team. So my team is called Xenia, and I could send them like then I could send probably like reservation full name and other variables to give it some context, right? So this is like a very basic escalation, right? Another type of escalation is having the AI call you, right? So this is, I think I've shown it in other, I don't understand. Okay. I think I've shown it in other webinars where you essentially select to be called whenever there's an escalation. And instead of like, this is the thing, but like, you could have response to guest. And so what this does, sorry, the AI agent. Okay. Um, sorry, I'm looking at um I'm looking at how to change this. Okay, so uh I think this is enough as oh, okay, I see what this is. Yeah, the voicemail, I don't think we would need a voicemail for this. I would not be interested because it's calling again. Transfer call, we don't care. Greeting. I mean, this can be edited. I won't for time. I'll just save it like this. And so what this does is that like it will extract the response to send to the guest, and then you can send it back to the original guest through the last message channel. And instead of sending something like this, you could just send back the response to the guest, right? And in doing this, what this does is that the AI calls you, it gets whatever you want to answer, and send it back. And it calls you for in this case, it will call you. Let's do after 5 minutes. Like it calls you immediately, then after 5 minutes, and then after 10 minutes, right? So it tries to call you immediately, then after 5 and after 10. So what happens if it can't reach you? Then what you could do is, again, you could send a message back to the contact and say, um, maybe instead of let's just say send AI message. Then you can just put a number, right? And then you could maybe, like send a Slack to the manager saying, hey, there's like, we breached the SLA, right? Something like that. So all of this is to show like you can really customize the way you handle escalations. This is doing it through a call. You could do it through message, of course, as well, like someone messaging you or assigning to a specific team member. Another thing you can do again with escalations is like you could say, hey, yes, I wanted to call me, but actually I wanted to call me only in specific situations. And for that, you have this extract AI info, which is a very important node in um, in Conduit because it allows you to write a prompt and extract some structured information from it, right? So what you would do here is first thing you would always select contact context as the first thing. So that gives it the context of all like the contact, like, the guest, right? And then you could say um, determine whether the escalation is about and you might do like A, an emergency, B, a booking front office matter, C, a check-in problem, or D, and we can make this a maintenance request, right? And here you could say category, so escalation category, and here's like what kind of escalation? Yeah, last messaging question. Um, and then what we could do is here we can start branching, right? So we could say we call we only call when the category is emer and if it's false, maybe we just, send a message to someone from our team, right? To Karina. Maybe, yeah, not send a message. Okay, but you get the idea, right? This would probably be a send AI message to give it the context. But and instead, if it's an emergency, we go down this route, right? Or maybe you want, maintenance requests to be done in a certain way. But this is very important. Like you can add other variables and like this node is very important to have some uh like structured value to base the rest of your workflow on. So this should be something that you can um translates to other workflows that you build. But it will always be very useful for that, right? So let's just save and publish this. What you can then do is in your agents, when you're in escalations, you could have it have trigger workflow and have general escalations. So this way, I won't do this now because like actually that was not a real workflow, but like that will make so that like every time that the AI escalates, it will go through that workflow. So theoretically, you would, with this feature, you will never have to answer a message ever again. Theoretically, because you could always have the AI come to you and you talk to it or you text it, and then it answers the guest back. So theoretically, this allows you to never have to handle any message again. So like that's why people ask me, oh, when is the mobile app going to be ready? And that I'm not saying that it's not important. Of course it's important, but we don't think that um people should be like if you're working like I'm a strong believer of deep work. It's a book from Cal Newport. where we're in a distraction economy, right? Um, we get constantly distracted by notification, notification, notification. It's not a good thing for our health. It's not a good thing for our productivity, right? So I way much prefer having no notification from Conduit on my phone, but maybe getting, a phone call when something is urgent, and every other time just not being disturbed, right? And having these like custom workflows that really manage what gets to me at what time. And this is how you would do it through these kind of intelligent workflows. So again, just to close off, we think that it's not just important that the AI rarely escalates to you, so getting this automation rate to a good point. And I mean, my company is definitely not a good point. Like this is bad, but I mean, um, unfortunately I don't have time to work on it. Um, but it's not just this; it's also how you escalate, and this gives you the tool to really tailor how you want it to be escalated. So I'll start off by opening it up for questions now, and then if we have more time, um, I can show you some one other thing that can be useful again for even more advanced escalations. So if you want, you can either open your mic and ask questions, or ask it directly in the QA. I'll just give 30 seconds and then I'll go on to a more advanced version. Great. Okay. So there seem to be no questions. Um, yeah. Okay. Um, I can go on to an even more advanced version. So sometimes uh, you you don't want it to escalate immediately. So like a very common example we get is maintenance requests, right? I mean, maintenance requests, you do want them to be escalated, but presumably you want the AI to troubleshoot for a certain amount of time and then escalate in a very specific way, right? You don't want it to just escalate whenever they ask a question, right? Or someone wants to extend their stay. Maybe to confirm the booking, there needs to be a human in the loop, but the AI can still do some things by itself. And that's when you would unite the power of the procedures with workflows. So you would go here and create a new procedure. Um, let's see if we have a template that is similar for this. Um, I don't like this one. Let me see if I can find a better one. Maintenance requesters. Okay. Um, so when I guess a request maintenance intervention. So add to this initial troubleshooting and request for images. Okay, yeah. Also, what I just did is a common way in which you can like edit some rules. You just press this button and it will rewrite it with like the prompt that like you added at the end. I usually use this to edit like prompts. Um, yeah, this is good. So what it should do is like you start, ask the guest to perform basic troubleshooting steps. Then you request the guest to provide images, right? And then if the guest is received on a weekday and the guest temperature is more than 24 hours away, inform that the maintenance team has been alerted. So what we do is actually we do this, right? So how do we alert the team, right? We do we do assign maintenance task on Asana, call this workflow, right? So we'll create the task on Asana, and then inform the maintenance team has been alerted. Otherwise, offer a refund, right? So we could save this, right? But we can do even more advanced things where we say, ask guest for to A specify if they okay with us going into the apartment without their presence. B I something along these lines. Yeah, let me just rewrite this because this is really badly written. I mean, it's barely English. Uh, okay, that's better. And then we just do this. Boom. So this now would, okay, this is assign maintenance task on Asana. That's an example of a workflow. But then you could go in and build this workflow. And I'm going to show you this in a second. Then we can go back here. So like what we're going to do is actually have the AI agent talk to our team and see if like we can actually intervene, right? And then follow back with them. Um, so like we could create this. Um, Let me just create this for uh, so that it doesn't apply to our actual guests. Then what you would do is you would go into your workflows and create this workflow, right? Where again it would be okay, no, not this one. Again, it's an AI tool call. And again, what you would do is, are there any parameters we need? Of course, we need uh, problem. So what is the problem that brief description the uh, maybe the photo. So right. And then we have guest availability time mentioned by the guest, which can enter access. And this is like essentially like the information that we saw that like our procedure was essentially extracting, right? So now, like with this information, we can send, and let's just do an AI message because I hate writing to the Xenia Conduit team. And we say tell uh, maintenance team about maintenance request from guest. These are the details. Then here you would just pass in all the details, right? So guest, full name. I usually refer through confirmation code. I usually always use this. Um, yeah, maybe it's even safer to just send a message, but I can be bothered to write it. Um, so here you're going to pass probably like the listing. Usually people pass in the listing address. Um, and then finally you're going to be passing problem description, pictures. Yeah, I need to change it to pictures because otherwise it doesn't understand. And then guess availability. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, sorry. It's actually not send an AI message, but it's an agent injection, of course, because like we also want an answer back, right? Um, you, wait. So we send this first message, and then what do we tell our agent? Your job is to coordinate with the internal team um about a guest request for maintenance. And then you would say uh find out if maintenance is possible, and if so, when we can get to it. And again, it's like only info if the maintenance dampers X. Okay, so this part is very important, and I'll explain it now. So what happens that like maybe you have five different requests all at once, and there's someone I know that implemented this, and I created this for him that is here in the webinar, where essentially like they had a guest screening, and then the person who's doing the screening would say yes, and then yes meant yes for all the agent injections that were in that chat, right? So you need to be like, you need to tell the agent to only extract values because it does, otherwise, if you say yes or that yes, we can do that, that maintenance, it won't know about what maintenance they're talking about. So for that reason, you need to add something like this to make sure that like it will extract only when your maintenance team refers directly to that reservation through the confirmation code. So you go like this, maintenance is possible. This is, of course, a Boolean, whether the maintenance, it locked me out. I think you're seeing my whole screen. So like now I'm logged back in. Wait, I'm not sure if it's, hopefully it's saved. Otherwise, I won't recreate it, but I have no idea because I certainly did not name it, right? That's crazy. Oh well. Yeah, it doesn't have it. Um, yeah, I can't rebuild the whole thing. This is something that clerk needs to figure out because I can't like it has to be at least like configurable where I can like not be logged out after 30 minutes because this is unbearable every time. Like this has happened like infinite amount of times to me. Oh well, yeah. Okay, I lost the whole progress that I did. Um, in any case, what was I even doing? Oh yeah, so like that you would extract like is the thing available, and then use that information to send a message back to the guest. So that's like essentially what we had already done for emergency calls, where then we connect the agent injection here and we use the message, if you remember, to send back a message to the guest. So that way you can have this scheduling. Um, any questions on this? Open. I see some. Okay, wait. Oh, Rod Ross. Okay. Uh, I start from the oldest. I want to see like an escalation of when the guest asks for extra cleaning or when the water is off, electricity is off. Then send a message to the maintenance, wait for the reply, and then reply to the guest. Yes. So again, for that, you could have extract info and you could say determine whether it's etc. Right? And then you could say is in category true false. Right? So like you check whether it's of that category. And then if it is, if it's true, discard. Ugh. And this is so annoying, by the way. Like the fact that I need to always republish the workflow and I can't just one of the most annoying things I've ever seen. Um, if this is true, and then yeah, you see it again. Worst UX of the year. Yeah, you see, like every time I change anything, stay here, leave me alone. Okay. If this is true, then instead of an injection phone, we have a normal agent injection. And so you would extract the information in the same way and then get back to the guest. Again, if you do it in a chat, make sure you're referring to the right contact, either through the name, through whatever you want, but it has to be the right contact because otherwise they stack up and the AI does not know to which contact to send the message. Another thing I want to follow up, the cleaning with the cleaning. Do we have to create a separate workflow every time we add a new procedure? No, I mean, if you want to, right? So it depends. Like if you want to, I don't understand the question. Like I don't like every time you want to call or to give the AI some instructions to when to call a specific workflow with like this AI tool call, which is this one, then you would have to create a procedure to explain when to call it, right? You don't have to like refer to that procedure necessarily, but if you do have a procedure that you want to call a workflow, you have to do it like that. Otherwise, you can just write it in. I think that's like the I would always suggest to do that. You can just also just write it in the tool description, but I would suggest creating a procedure to explain like very much like when to call this and why and what should happen. Um, Another thing I want to follow up is the cleaning with the cleaning crew to see all the time the status of the house, as well as actually status. Present, I guess. Right? Okay, I see what you're saying. So it depends like what you want. So if it's like when the guest is asking for a cleaning update to check with a cleaner, that's literally this thing where you would probably create a procedure saying when a guest asks for an update on the cleaning, if it's after 10 a.m., then call the workflow to check with the cleaner and tell the guest that you'll get back to them, just as we did with the maintenance request. If it's instead before 12 a.m., then we can assume that the cleaning is not over and it will be over around 12 a.m. Right? If that's what you want, right? If instead you want that every time the cleaner sends a message saying, hey, this apartment is finished, well, we can't do that. Oh no, no. Let me just check something, but I'm 99% sure you can't. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like how this could be done. No, but there's no way. That's what I think. Like you need to be able to search across reservations for reservations, cross messages, and that's so obvious to me, but no, the other way where like the cleaner says, "Oh, this apartment is finished," and then the AI intelligently understands, "Okay, this apartment today has this check-in, so I have to tell this guest," is something I think we should have, but we don't. So I can't help there. But the other way it does work. Can you clarify how to think about using the AI tool call? So I kind of answered this already. I think essentially like the AI tool call is going to be called by the AI during their answers. So it's a way to unify either escalations to the workflows or procedures to the workflow. So that's how you have to think about AI tool call. It's something that the AI will might call depending on your preferences when it's trying to like it gets like a message and it's reasoning how to answer a message. Can we create escalation levels? For example, first to a junior agent, if she doesn't, yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That's something that people actually do, where like what you would do, sorry. Also, I need to learn to read the questions out completely because I read them and then I don't. So, for example, first to a junior agent, and then if in or she does not respond to a senior agent, what this means is essentially we want during an escalation, um, we want to, like agent injection phone, we try to call the person. If we fail, instead of directly sending a message back, we could call someone else, right? So agent injection phone, and you would have the junior agent, in this case is me, and you would copy the same thing across, and yeah, voila. I just need to select the number, otherwise it won't let me save. And again, you could have success, it sends the message, or fail, it could do something else. Is there a dashboard to see at what times the highest number of escalations occur? Not escalations, no. I still think, okay, someone else asked me the question about like the time, so time frames, like how to see times. If you do today, for instance, apply. So essentially, I mean, you don't have like directly like the escalations, but you can kind of see like no, I wouldn't say you can see. No, you can see just the volume. You're not. The name was, oh, thanks for the name was General Escalations. Okay, so Emery, if a guest reports any damage in the apartment, I want the AI to ask him for a picture before escalating the chat to an employee. How can I do that in Conduit? That's exactly what we did before. It's it like quite literally. I think I didn't say, oh, I did save, right? I just saved it under another name. I have to move this toolbar. Boom. So here, as you see, this is a procedure. So initially it will troubleshoot. Then it will ask a question, it will request an image. Then it will ask whether the maintenance can be conducted during their absence or like what they want. And only then it will escalate to the team through this workflow, right? And this is like the wrong workflow, but like, yeah, it didn't save the other one. So um, that's the nice thing about procedures, where procedures are this thing where like the way procedures are structured is that you have a trigger, which is this part here. And then you have two different options. Either you go a step-by-step thing that the AI will follow in the conversation, so a conversational flow to follow, or you have this if-else conditions. And this is an example, right? So this has both, right? So there's an initial conversational flow, and then there's this if-else, right? If this, then do this. Otherwise, do this, right? So you can unify. That's how you usually have to think about like how to create these workflows. And that's how I usually think about it. Okay, great. Any other questions? I think we can stay on for, like another minute if someone has any questions. Otherwise, we'll close it here. Okay, great. Hopefully this was useful. And yeah, instructive of like how to use procedures and use escalations with workflows. So I think this is extremely valuable for a lot of again, we're not just interested in this deflection rate, it's also how you handle all the cases where you can't directly answer to the guest, right? And improving that is extremely important both for us, but also for your team. Um, yeah, so again, hopefully I can see you again in the next webinar. And until then, take care and yeah, have a nice week. Goodbye, guys.